And we are back with another exciting episode of the GameTime Athletics podcast. It's Brian, it's Jordan, it's Chris Duffy joining us today. But our very, very special guest here to inform, to inspire, to entertain is a man that we know mostly for defending. It is one of the best defenders of his era in the NBA, the one and only 16-year veteran, Theo Ratliff. Jordan, I know you're excited for this one.
The shot blocking, game stopping, rock snatching, rim rattling, Theo Ratliff. No talk, all action on the GameTime Athletic podcast, my man. Welcome aboard.
No doubt. Great to be here, man. Very excited to be here with you guys.
If my mom and dad were watching this, my mom, obviously, she used to come out and yell at me in the driveway. I used to lower the rim. And I told my sister to lace some shots up. And then I would go into my Mark Zumoff voice, blocked by Ratliff. The king of denial has done it again. Jordan, what did you have her doing? Get in the house. It's unbelievable. Theo Ratliff. We bring him on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, not just because his journey in the NBA, which we're going to get into, but it's how he impacts the youth. And we're going to talk a little bit about whether it's anti-bullying, the mental deficiencies, financial literacy. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Resilience. Let's go before the 76ers. Let's go before the Pistons. Let's go before Wyoming. Let's talk about growing up in Alabama, putting that basketball in your hand. When did you realize I have a gift for defense here?
Really, from probably around 8th grade. As I continued to try to develop my offensive skills, which wasn't that great at that particular time. I had a conversation with my coach. He saw I had timing, I had the length, I had a knack for playing defense. He was like, everybody wants to be Michael Jordan and they want to score all the points and they want to, be the guy that's leading the team in points. Who's that guy that's going to be the guy that's going to be the defensive stopper? And, from that point on, that just became something that I focused and concentrated on, just throughout from junior high to high school to college. It became just a focus of mine. And I saw that a lot of people just don't take the time to actually put that type of work in on the defensive side of the ball as they do on the offensive side of the ball. And it made me unique as a player.
And we're jumping ahead a little bit. Then we'll rewind again. But I feel like that Sixers team that you were a part of, because you have Allen Iverson, who was such a force of nature on the offensive side of the ball. Good defender.
Yes.
But you had so many people like yourself, like Aaron McKee, like Eric Snow, who did the unselfish things, who did the things that may not show up on that score sheet, but you did it night in and night out.
Yeah, it was a Larry Brown, Billy King mastermind. Everywhere Larry's been, he has always been about the defensive side of the basketball and fundamental basketball, sharing the basketball and being a complete team. And that's what he brought, with all of us that came in those trades. You got to think, it was like 6 guys came in that trade over there, at that point in time to make up that team. And as we continued to gel together and having a Hall of Fame coach kind of grooming us and getting us to understand, how we can build and play a long time in the NBA by being good teammates and learning how to really lock down on that defensive side of the ball. It just matured into that 2000-2001 team.
Theo, great to meet you, first of all.
Yep, great to meet you.
In your NBA career, you are always known as kind of that elite shot blocking type of player. My dad, huge Sixers fan, he remembers times when you would go up and blocking shots from some of the best in the game, like Shaquille O'Neal, and you get up there and block those, and he always used to go crazy. So how did you handle like situations like that going up against those players? So like Shaquille O'Neal, some of the best players in the game. What made you kind of realize like I'm built to be at this level and be in these situations?
Bro, like I said, when I went to tryouts for a USA team my junior year at college, I knew I had a knack for it, playing in the WAC, playing Utah, BYU. Smaller school, you're looking at the Dukes and you're looking at the, Wake Forest, Tim Duncan, you're looking at McDyess and all those guys in the Power Fives. And you're like, I know I could play with them, but, I never really had the opportunity. But once I had a chance to try out for those teams, and I'm like, people really don't concentrate on playing defense. And I saw I was there. I was a unique type of person, and playing against those guys and being able to block their shots and and be, a good defender and show well, on that team in order and make the USA under 22 team where we end up getting the goal. That was just a great experience. Small town kid from the Demopolis going to Wyoming, just a small town, and then getting on that big stage, on the USA stage with some of the top college players in the country. And, a lot of those guys are older. So a lot of those guys ended up going to the NBA before I went to the NBA. So I'm like, well, I mean, I got a
Absolutely.
chance. If they're going, I mean, I was on that same team, and I think I did pretty good. So I always felt that was a catalyst that kind of pushed me, over the top once I got a chance to go and play against those guys.
Since 2011, Innovate Media has transformed everyday spaces into powerful engagement platforms. What started with commercial massage chairs has grown into a multi-concept, multinational network delivering over 2.5 million guest experiences every month. With more than 10,000 assets nationwide, our partners rely on us for industry-leading coverage, data-driven insights, and technology that creates real one-to-one consumer connections. At Innovate Media, quality isn't a tagline, it's the standard behind every experience we deliver. If you're ready to evaluate your property and unlock new revenue, visit Innovate Media and see what smarter engagement can do for you.
Great-grandfather Frank started it, a little store in downtown Pottsville. 4 generations and over 100 years later, Murphy's is still a neighborhood jeweler experience. Sure, with a few more brands, but still defined by a passion for fine jewelry and timepieces. A genuine enthusiasm for people and the patience to get it right. That's how we did it in 1913, and that's how we still do it today. The Murphy Experience.
I want to say this. There's only 400 some spots in the NBA, right? You got to stand out
Yes,
in some type of way, right?
for sure.
I'm a basketball coach, and what I
Right.
look at as an athlete is energy. This is
Yes.
back in 2001. I really fell in love with the 76ers, obviously 99 when you first came on board. But that's back when the games were really fun. Everything was always cut it to 15, cut it to 10, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it would be at 10, and then all of a sudden you would come across and pin a ball on the backboard, and it sparked so much energy, you would cut it to 5 just off of that.
Right.
So
Right.
energy will get you anywhere in life. And that's part of this
Yeah.
podcast that we really want to talk about. Whether it's a
Definitely.
job interview, whether it's trying to brighten somebody's day, energy, right? It's all about positive energy. And whether it's blocking a shot or pinning the ball, you brought that mentality to the game of basketball, not only being able to play with one of the greatest players to ever play the game in Allen
Right.
Iverson. You have Theo with theatrical blocks laying his mark. The other thing too we want to stress is 16 years in the NBA. All right. Like just think about that. I compare it to a NASCAR race, right? My
Right.
car is running dry where I don't want to be able to run it on the rims to finish my career. I want to be
Right.
able to take care of the vehicle. Let's talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
no
the
doubt.
injuries, and I'll segue back to Brian because I know
Okay.
you want to touch about it, right? First of all, he gets the All-Star bid in 2001, right? That is just an amazing accomplishment to be able to hit that tier. He breaks his wrist 2 games before he goes to All-Star break, so he
All right.
can't participate in it. Now he's out for the season. 76ers have to make a trade. They end up trading you, Brian. Who was it? What was the trade?
It was a Mutombo trade. It was Theo, Tony Kukoc. I believe Nazi Muhammad was part of that deal as well for
Yeah.
Mutombo, and I think Atlanta threw a few other players in there as well.
And that wasn't the adversity that he had to overcome because he comes back from that, goes up from a normal rebound and falls and tears his labrum. Theo, can you talk a little bit about the mental health, the adversity? You were told, listen, your career might be over. And you said, hold on a second. I'm going to figure out a way to be able to put nutrients into my body, and I'm going to overcome these injuries, and it's not going to define who I am. I'm going to have a 16-year career where the
All right.
average NBA player, 4, right? 4 second
Mhm.
contract,
Years.
4 years. Yeah, 4 years. Theo, can you talk a little bit about what went into those moments when people
Yep.
counted you out?
I mean, just even first off, like I was diagnosed early with kind of a degenerative bone thing, even back earlier when I was even in Detroit.
Yeah.
So it was something that was already ongoing. I had, like, when I first came over to the Sixers, I actually had a microfracture, and I ended up playing through the season for that rest of that season when I came over
Wow.
in mid-season. So I ended up having surgery.
Yep.
I ended up having a surgery that summer before they signed me to the long-term deal. When, as I came back, I was still nursing that leg the whole time. So it was something that I had to kind of work through and rehab every single day. I couldn't take days off. I knew I had to make sure this knee stayed because it would swell up on me.
Yeah.
So in that turn, it got better. And, by that next year, I was, able to do what I was able to do in 2001 season with me breaking the wrist, making All-Star, being the top, you know, fan vote, the whole nine. I was going to start, which was even
Yeah.
worse. So,
Yeah.
with that happening and then going through that process of breaking the wrist, and then I was trying to make sure I got the surgery before, so I can make sure I was going to be ready. I want to
Right.
make sure I'm ready for my teammates, right
100%.
right before playoff time, probably a couple of weeks before playoffs, I'd be able to get back in the mix and be ready for playoffs. But, things happen, seeing, Coach, actually he was in love with the Dikembe. He always had been.
Mhm.
So he always talked about the Dikembe. He was this, he was there. Oh, he's such a, imposing guy and blah, blah, blah. So even with me being on the team, so he always loved him. So during the All-Star, he was the head coach at the All-Star. We was 41-14 at the break. So we had the top
Team, yeah, for
record
sure.
in the league, So with him, me walking in after I had the surgery, and I'm walking in, and I and I see him conversating with him, and then it was, not until like I put everything together, later on, after the trade happened, just on how things kind of operated. But even going further into that, going into me getting traded, people don't realize how stressful and mental. I didn't even realize it. So, like later on, when people really started talking about mental health because people really wasn't talking about mental health during that time, during that period. It was like, yeah, this is tough to go through. And, it's about the business of basketball. That's kind of how you just kind of put it. But when you uprooting your family, you uprooting your whole routine of
Yep.
every day. And now you with your brothers you've been with for 3 years.
Mm.
Everybody knows each other. And we playing on that type of level of everybody looking at us like we're the threat in the East to go, for the championship. So
You
when you
started
had that
10-0?
just, yeah, when you had that just pulled up from up under your feet, that's a pretty stressful time. But like I say, you don't really count. You kind of just you're young, so you just kind of push it away. But at the same time, it's a mental stress for guys, and I
100%.
talk about it all the time about how when guys when you look at 90% of the guys that go in big trades, they always get hurt. It's almost 90% sure chance they're going to get hurt. Oh, you're changing the whole mentality. You're changing the whole training style. So you got to go deal with new coaches. You got to go deal with all the new coaches, not just the coach of the team. You got to deal with the strength trap, the conditioning. You got to deal with the trainer. Things change just like that. And now you got to
Chemistry.
go over there. Yeah. So, and you built all those chemistry things just even, with your teammates. And so that's a mental strain to guys, whether guys want to admit it or not admit it. And like I said, I'm glad that they kind of focus in on the mental health thing now with guys because that's a big deal. That's a
Jermaine
big deal.
Jones. Jermaine Jones was on. He talked a
Yeah.
lot about the mental health and him talking with Larry Brown prior to draft day. And he was part of obviously the 2001 run
Yes.
as well. And I like to talk about unselfish basketball. Think about it.
Hmm.
Larry Brown went to Jermaine Jones. You might have led the SEC in scoring, but you better find something else to do before you come here. We already have a guy that takes 50 shots a night.
Right.
If you think about 2001, right? 2001, you think about it. It's like what made that team so good to get off to a 10-0 start. It's
Hmm.
guys who wanted to play defense, wanted to block shots, It's unselfish. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know your role. I mean, and like I said, it is always, and I try to tell young guys even to this day, I'm like, you have to find something that you can be good at. You, even if you're a role player. And I look at Austin Reeves is a perfect example. He
Yeah.
got on the court because he had energy and he played defense. And now you can always work on your skill level to get to a different level. And now you looking at him now, he's, one of the top scorers, and I mean, so it's like it happens, but you got to be on the court for it to. If you can't do what it takes to be on the court, then obviously, you don't get those opportunities. And that's the hard part for guys to understand.
Chris, what was Theo's career high? You had that information. What's my man's career high?
Your career high in are you looking for points or blocks? I got both those.
I need the blocks later. I just want to hear where he averaged in the points.
In points, your career average was around 10, but your career high was 27 points back in March of 1998. I believe it was against the Dallas Mavericks. I have it as.
But they would let me shoot the basketball, I guess.
Let's talk about Wyoming, where Theo left college, second all time in the NCAA Division I in blocks, over 100 blocks each of his final 3 years at Wyoming. I believe 144 blocks your senior year, incredible, and second to only Alonzo Mourning in blocks when you left college. But I want to get back to the injuries, and especially having a 16-year career, which is phenomenal, especially now knowing you had a degenerative condition early on, first stop in Detroit, and also just with being 6'10", being, in the middle, under the basket, against the Shaqs of the world, the world, David Robinson, all the amazing centers that were around back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. It wasn't no joke. Be no punk down there. You better go hard or go home. You gotta get embarrassed for sure.
100%. That's the olden days. There were no minute restrictions either.
And you gonna catch some elbows too. You gonna catch some elbows, and you gonna take them, and you gonna keep going or throw your own.
Absolutely.
You were touching on my point there for a second, Jordan. In all those years, in all those 16 years, and we talked about how mental health wasn't really focused on it. It should have been, and it is now. In those 16 years, how many times did you hear from your coaches, from the GMs, from the administration of the team? How many times did you hear the phrase load management?
Load management. I don't think that was something that was was going on at that particular time. But I know when kind of who started that was San Antonio. When I was there, Pop was a mastermind, making sure his guys was ready at the end of the year, ready for the playoff run. You look at a guy like a Robert Horry. Robert wouldn't play all year. He had him sitting on that sideline. He'd be doing his workouts and getting his reps up. But whenever it was time to insert guys, because he always kept a veteran team, so whenever it was time to insert guys, he made sure he insert guys to get them ready. And that's kind of how it even started to even go into that mode, because those guys were getting older. And then, everything else started with, everybody starting trying to sit and not play in certain games because it's a small market and they feel like they can rest guys and different things of that nature. But back then it was a pride thing. Everybody wanted to play 82.
99, 2000. I'm there in pregame, watching you guys get shots up before the game, and I see Iverson come out before the game, not to shoot, but he had saran wrap of ice on his elbow, on his knee, on his other elbow. I've never seen a dude walk out there like he was in a body bag. So when I try to teach this mental toughness to these kids, they see guys sit out, and I don't want to call any of the pros out. I really don't. I'm doing pretty good with this podcast. I like to keep the ratings high. Right. But ultimately, I saw your error and how you guys dealt with injury. Iverson, he was a rock star. That man was a rock star.
He was a rock star, man.
The one everyone we've talked to, whether it was Jermaine Jones, Mark Jackson, the one everybody wants to talk to is Iverson bringing a football to practice with him. That's what everybody.
Man, listen, man, that dude was an extra special type of athlete. I mean, you just don't make them like that. I mean,
he just never quit. Never quit.
I've never seen someone run and party the way he partied and come back and play 40 minutes the way he played 40 minutes.
It's crazy because when he went out to LA with Kobe Bryant, And he says, "Yo, Kobe, what are you doing now?" He goes, "I'm going to the gym." He goes, "Well, I'm going to the club." He'll admit that too. He'll basically say, "I wasn't no Kobe. Kobe was
Mhm.
something different," meaning he was always that Mamba mentality. But shout out to Allen Iverson. I mean, he took nerds. Literally, my dad's a nerd, and we're driving over the bridge, and I'm like, "You gotta go see this guy Iverson play." And
Man.
he didn't know anything about basketball. He brought everything to life.
It was super entertaining, bro.
It's
I'm
incredible.
glad to have that seat with him.
When it comes to fresh quality turkey, Cuck's Turkey Farm has been a family tradition for over 85 years. From whole turkeys and turkey products to deli meats and specialty items, you can trust Cuck's for delicious farm-raised turkey that's always fresh. Whether it's for your holiday feast or everyday meals, Cuck's has you covered. Cuck's Turkey Farm, where quality and tradition meet.
Looking for insurance that fits your life and budget? Jeremy Baczynski with State Farm is here to help. From auto and home to life and business insurance, Jeremy creates a personalized coverage plan designed around your needs. Get a quote today at ilovethefarm.com or call us at 570-622-5684.
Let's segue right into what you got going on at your house right now. You somehow came up with a device to manufacture 7-foot giants that you're sending to USC. And Chris, I know you wanted to segue into his sons.
Being in the NBA and having the career that you had for 16 years, you've been all over with the Sixers and many other teams. With your two sons, what were some things that you told them as they were going through their careers? What's the advice that you give them now that you're past your career and now into kind of the mentorship part of it?
They've been with me from day one. I retired in 2011. They were born 2007. And we've been rolling ever since. And they were, similar to me starting out. So I didn't have a guide when I was playing basketball.
Right.
Coming up, they were long, skinny, didn't have any coordination. That was me. I couldn't play, got cut, from junior high and all kinds of stuff. So I always told him, I said, we gotta keep a basketball in y'all hand. If you want to be able to play and be coordinated, learn how to dribble the basketball. So we always work on dribbling the basketball, and we just continue from there. And they just kind of captured that. And as they got older, and I always tell them, I say, "Yeah, man, a lot of people just gonna be better than you right now. I mean, but we're gonna keep going, keep staying in the right situation, and just keep building and shooting the ball." I mean, that of course that was always a premium. So, and they had the chance to work with, one of my former coaches, Chuck Person, the rifleman,
Yep.
who was able to teach them proper technique. I gave them as much as I could about shooting the ball, but when they really got with him, it went to a whole different level. And he took them on, he took a lot of kids on in Atlanta and helped them learn how to shoot, dribble, play the game, and do things the right way. And as you know, I mean, my wife's 6'4", I'm 6'10". Inevitable, I knew they were gonna be 7 foot,
Right.
and if
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
shoot, it didn't matter what area, if you can shoot and you can dribble the ball at that size, you have a good opportunity of being able to get a scholarship, and teams want you, and having having the right foundation to play at the highest level you want to play at, depending on your work ethic.
100%. Now
And
they
it,
get to go
yeah,
play for a coach that Theo knows very well. Obviously, assistant
my
coach,
man,
Coach Musk.
muscle man, my muscle man. Yeah. So I always loved Musk's energy. Even when he was an assistant, with us, and to do anything. He was a madman back then. He's become a little bit more subdued now,
They do calm down,
but
right?
he's
The
still.
coaches eventually calm
But
down.
he still has that mind, coming from that pedigree. Even Pops being coaching, being around the game for as long as he's been around the game. And you see, the job that he does. Everywhere he goes, he always turns programs around. He always help guys become and learn how to be pros, and that's what kind of sold us. And it's USC, a historic program. Had staff, pro guys that a lot of guys that played in the pros as well that he has on his staff. So it's a real mentality, a work mentality. Whereas that league is with a lot of bigs that play under the rim.
Yep.
with you changing it up with having guys that able to go outside and also they'll be able to build themselves up to be able to be under that basket. I think it's a big advantage for them, playing in that league.
Such an advantage that they're twins.
Mm-hmm.
And they've grown up together. They've been in that situation, a completely different sport. But in ice hockey, I think of the Sedin twins. They had a great career in Vancouver.
Right.
Wound up playing their pro hockey together too. It really has to be an advantage, especially when it's only 5 people aside. When 2 of them can kind of do that twin telepathy, it's got to be a great advantage for them.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah,
Theo,
it's great. Yeah, go ahead.
which twin wins in the fights around the house where you're pulling each other off of them? I mean, I could see them getting into it.
But that's the whole thing with them. I mean, they just the coolest they can be with each other. I mean, shit, I don't even think they even had a fist fight. They didn't hit each other a couple of times. They ain't nothing like my brothers. We were fighting all the time.
Right. Talk about footwork, right? In order to be able to block the shots that you were able to block in your career. Obviously, that's the staple. What kind of advice can you give to all the hoopers out there across the world on being able to get in the position where you were, how you developed your set of skills to go block the block, like the block when you block Shaq?
So one of the things I always even stress with my kids today, if you want to be able to play this game and play it at a high level, you gotta be able to move your feet. You have to have active feet. That means even if I'm on the weak side and I get on mine all the time, I'm not standing like a statue. I am always in an active mode, in and out, back and forth, feet are active. So when I have to react, I'm ready to react. I'm always in a stance. Man, I drive myself crazy trying to keep them to understand that the importance of the split second it does to make you to whether you're going to get to that point or you don't get to that point.
Right.
Or whether you're going to go after the block shot. If you're not in a set, ready position to jump, you're going to let a lot of balls go by. Going up to challenge shots, you're not going to do it. So I tried to make it a point that anything came in the basket, I was challenged. That was my ultimate goal every time I step on the court. If it come around this basket, I got to jump at it. Okay, if I can't get it or whatever, but I'm going to make sure they understand my presence. And that's where I'm trying to get them to understand. But I'm like, bro, if you understand this part right here, this will change your whole game on the offensive side and defensive side. Because active feet, being in a ready position is key to being successful in basketball. And all the guys that you watch play and being high level guys, they feet are super active. All great defenders, super active.
We're going to go inside the paint, and we're going to put your knowledge to the test on the us potato chips in the paint with Theo Ratliff. We're going to ask you a couple questions. You ready for this? Rapid fire. Toughest player you ever had to guard?
Shaq, for sure.
Favorite teammate?
Eric Snow.
Love that.
So underrated. Underrated.
Yeah.
He was the glue. Nobody knows.
He was the real glue. They don't even understand.
He calmed everything down. His brain was so sharp. We got to get him on here.
I don't think, obviously he's still one of the best of all time regardless, but I don't think LeBron reaches the heights LeBron reached if he's not playing with Eric Snow very early in his career.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, he really brought what he learned from being with Allen over to LeBron, with the Cavaliers early on and how to manage a superstar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best city you've ever played in?
Best city I ever played in? Philly.
Good answer. Hey, favorite memory from Wyoming?
It's always with the teammates. I mean, whether it's us just hanging out, playing cards, doing barbecues, everybody was joking on everybody all the time. So we had a whole bunch of characters that was always clowning.
100%. Most satisfying block of your career?
I think it has to be anyone that was in the game blocking somebody's dunk.
Let me see the oven mitt real quick. Let me say put.
Yeah, I think one that stands out more is the Jermaine O'Neal. I think it was the last play of the game, and they were down 1, and Jermaine got the ball, and he went in, and he was open. He thought we had the dunk, and I blocked it. I caught his dunk for the game.
That Indiana? Was that when Jermaine was in Indiana?
Indiana, yeah, when he was in Indiana.
And Indiana gave especially in the playoffs, Indiana gave the Sixers fits.
Yeah, before he got there. That was
Yeah,
before
but
he
before
got there.
Jermaine, but yeah, but
yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
extra
that
special.
was always our nemesis with, Rick Schmitz and Dale
Mark
Davis, Antonio Davis, Mark Jack. I mean, they were savvy veterans, man. And then you had Reggie Miller running around.
That was a nasty team.
It was.
They had a nasty team.
Hey, one word to describe your playing style.
Tenacious.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
100%. Brian.
Yeah.
And Marv Albert's was tenacious.
that
That was good, bro.
was
Damn.
good. That was real good.
It was actually too good, man. Hold on. Take the mask off. Take the mask off.
Not doing it. Yeah, to sum it all up, we've talked a lot about Theo's career. If we missed one thing that we really want to emphasize too, it's not just passing it on to the next generation and we covered what he's doing with his family, but also really making a stand for standing up against bullying, a lot of work with financial literacy.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the work
Yes,
that
sir.
was done on the court, but what Theo's done off the court is incredible as well. And we want to thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for spending some time with us. Theo Ratliff, what time is it?
Game time.
Yes!
Shout out to you, Theo.
All
There
right,
goes
no doubt, man.
Marv. Easy,
Great.
Marv. Easy, Marv.
Right. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.